times like this, I feel like I'm actually making a difference. Let's check into my new torture, the 3-day traffic jam. Singing? But they're supposed to be miserable. What's wrong with this picture?
I believe the problem is Jimmy Two Shoes, your malevolency.
So we are joined here today with a very special guest, Stevie Valance, who is an Emmy-winning voice director and a fantastic actress in her own right, and also was the voice director for the Jimmy Two Shoes pilot. So thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Ed. That's where we met, you and
That's
I.
that's right. That is. You had done all kinds of different things. Jimmy was probably one of my first animation experiences. I'd done a lot of live action sketch comedy and stuff like that. And I had worked with Gene Simmons from Kiss on his show, My Dad the Rock Star. But you were way more experienced. And so it was really great having you at the helm.
I never
Oh,
knew that you were like a little nervous sitting next to me.
oh
Wow.
yeah. No, 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 of course. No, we were depending on you. But I'm curious, like, if you could tell me about how you got involved. Because you were doing kind of different, like you'd done a lot of animation, but I don't think anything quite like Jimmy.
Well, how I got involved was I was offered the job, but the first, it was my first job directing in Toronto. And I had just moved to Toronto, or maybe I was like in the process of moving. I'm not sure whether I had ever come back. I grew up in Toronto. And uh, I had won an Emmy for Madeline. And I'm thinking, the more, like, it's been a while since I saw the pilot and I just watched it again. And I thought, this is why they gave me this job, was because it's very similar to Madeline. Can you see
Really?
that, Ed?
In,
Yeah, like I
in,
just got this and it just went off like, oh my God, this is Madeline. Heloise is Madeline, like one step in the direction of, you know, evil. Because they're both really precocious little girls and they both mean well. They come from their heart. They love deep. And, so I really see Heloise as being like a little, and I love her name, by the way. I love all the names in this. I actually, when the first, even the title of the show, when it was offered to me, I loved it. Jimmy Two Shoes. Like you've heard it so much, you haven't, it's probably not even something, but it's the greatest name. Instead of Goody Two Shoes, Jimmy Two Shoes. I mean, it really is such a great name.
Jimmy Two Shoes.
And
so,
also he Jimmy rigs everything.
Mhm.
And then Lucia, how do you say it? Lucius.
Lucius, but we mostly we changed it to Lucy. I mean, as everybody knows, like anyone who's listening to this or watching us probably knows by now that originally the show was supposed to be hell, set in hell. And
Right.
I think it was because Sean Scott, who was the co-creator, he was a real big fan of Adam Sandler and Little Nicky. And so that was it. Like it was never meant to be like some big evil thing. It was just like, what a funny thing to set. It's like an animated sitcom set in hell. So actually, all of the names have these other meanings. Like Lucius started off as Lucifer. It was just straight up. And BZ was Beelzebub. And Sammy is Samuel.
That's where Sammy came from. I love
Yeah, so there were all these demons and that, but we recreated them. I mean, nobody is really based on anybody that ever existed in
But
biblical.
it's such a unique show. I mean, it really was for its time too, 20 years ago. So we're talking, just kind of, well, it was Bush into Obama, and
Mm.
there just wasn't that kind of, we were still kind of as a human race living in a bubble. And we were all watching like the Care Bears and either that or we were watching X-Men. It was humans that did bad. But we didn't, there were no, I mean, Adult Swim was just kind of being invented as well. And I read somewhere that this show, Jimmy Two Shoes, is perfect for juvenile adults And that really is what it is. And we've all kind of become that way. We've all had to develop a sense of humor. So I really feel this show was so cutting edge and so ahead of its time. I don't think you realized it when you wrote it. You were just having fun with a bunch of naughty kids play, being evil and blowing each other up, but meaning well. Their intentions so good. I mean, Heloise has such a crush on Jimmy, and she's always destroying him, and he keeps popping back, and he's never mad, and he's always, he's always okay with it, and then he's on to his next catastrophe, and people are blowing up everywhere. And the whole name Miseryville. I mean, that is just such a great name. The place where, Lucius, tries to make sure that the quality of life is terrible. I mean, that's what his aim is. That's his purpose. And it's so now. I mean, you've got to admit, it's like if you did this series now, everyone would figure it's a complete symbolism of what's happening in the world. So who'd have thought 20 years ago that it was a prophecy kind of cartoon, that would come to life now?
Okay, well, I think you know where Stevie was going with that. So that was as good a time as any to cut her off. That is the end of part 1. We will be back. Stevie's going to talk more about the voice record sessions and her favorite character. Hope you enjoyed that. And before you go, I would love it if you check out a new project of mine. It's a thriller called Our Little Secret. There's a trailer on my YouTube channel, and there's also a link to it here, as well as a link to my website. I would be especially grateful if you watch it because it's actually part of my master's thesis, and my academic supervisor is a real prick, and he thinks that no one's going to watch it and that I will fail miserably. So I would love it if you help me prove him wrong. Okay, thanks. Bye for now.
Drink up! Cheers! Did I blacken your heart? No, it was just a little tart.